tie the record in terms of batting average.
It's unbelievable, Tyler, and a lot of people question, right? Sophomore season, what's going to happen? Our pitcher's going to be able to throw her differently, but she's been able to make adjustments. After that first weekend, she's just been on fire.
And when you talk about pitching in the circle, a little bit of a surprise tonight. It's going to be the junior Miranda Ellis from Crown Point, Indiana. On the year, a 1.63 ERA. This will be her 12th appearance, 55 2/3 innings, a 5-3 win-loss record for Ellis. What's the reason for Ellis getting the start tonight?
I have to imagine this is to get her back on the winning train, Tyler. I think this is usually the Wednesday game is where Texas goes out and gets some more non-starters out there. But after Miranda, she had a couple tough losses this weekend. She threw great. However, her team wasn't able to get the runs that they needed. So I think they're going to go back out and try to build her confidence in this game today.
It was an 0-2 record this last weekend in which she threw 14 innings. Just a 1.00 ERA goes 2 complete games, but as you had mentioned, it was just at moments where Ellis had struggled a little bit with the walks, hit a couple batters as well. The Islanders start with Mosh at the top, Vela behind her, Scambalori 1-2-3. For the team sporting a 4-20 record, 1-2 playing out of the Southland Conference, in which they were picked to finish 11th. Out of 12 teams, Moss, a sophomore from Fullerton, California. So Islanders team coming off a 3-game set to kick off conference play. Moss hitting .269 on the year. It was at home against Houston Baptist. They won the first game 3-2, then dropped the next two 3-0 and 4-2. Ellis in with another strike. Texas, on the other hand, 21-5, 15-2 here at home. 3-2 record, as mentioned, at the Longhorn Invitational. 2 wins over Texas Southern, 8-0 and 6-2. They lose the first game against Minnesota, win the second game 5-3, and then Sunday in the rubber match, dropping 3-1. Full count pitch. Strikeout for Ellis.
Ellis, after getting behind 2-0, does a great job going right back at Moss. She's been really working that outside corner, and this is a pitch I think we watched a lot on Sunday's contest, Tyler. The one that she had a hard time early in the game finding the strike zone. So nice to see them really attacking that corner, making her get ahead.
Emily Vela swings at the first pitch. Junior from Tomball, Texas.
Come around, come in.
Yeah!
183 batter on the year. Started her career at UNLV, played her first 2 seasons there. 59 games, 37 of which she started as that ball bounced off of her. Defensively for Texas, still Mackenzie Parker at the shortstop position. Change we saw halfway through the weekend. Remains on that left side with Shannon Rhodes, Jefferson at second, Burke at first, Iacopo behind the dish as second consecutive strikeout for Ellis.
Yeah, and right away, you're going to notice a change, right? She was able to go ahead and get that first pitch called a strike. Then she was able to get the foul ball and now work that inside corner, get it well off the plate, up on the hands, and does a nice job stair-stepping that rise ball.
Ashley Scambalori misses the first pitch from Benbrook, Texas. True freshman, 4-year letter winner in high school. First team all-district player, school MVP, 3 years.
This Islanders team has got a lot of youth in it. You're going to have 4 freshmen starting in the lineup today, 2 sophomores, and that was pretty much the identity coach let us know. Coach Blake Miller's, when we talked about, you know, what can you tell us about this 2019 team? And he just said young.
Ellis goes up top, strikes out the side. So Miranda Ellis getting the start midweek, coming out strong, sitting down 3 in a row. Texas taking their first cuts when we come back.
Longhorn Extra this week, Thursday at 8 on LHN.
Texas a 342 average on the year. That's 11th best in the NCAA. They average just under 6.5 runs per game. That's 21st in the NCAA. The power numbers are there, already on pace to potentially break a school record for doubles in a season. And Texas trotting out the hitting lineup that we have begun to see may be the staple throughout the year, but is one change. Iacopo moves up into the 3, Burke into the 4.
Yep, Shannon Rhodes is going to be in the 4th, Burke in the 5th, but those 3 are pretty interchangeable. You know, I think that top of the lineup, you are right, Hathaway, Jefferson going to be the mainstays, and why not? The numbers that they're putting up there, 400, 470 respectively. And then you just go back to the last game you played. It's kind of heartbreaking, really, when you think of these two. There is a point they were 6 for 6, Tyler, and unfortunately they were only able to get 1 run across in those first 3 at-bats. So I think that's why you see a little bit of a change in that 3-4-5, just trying to mix it up a little bit. Manufacture runs.
The pitcher, junior Candace Johnson, 3.94 ERA, 3 wins, 5 losses. 9th game she has started as Hathaway shoots to the right side of the infield. Kennedy Johnson there to tap on the bag.
Candace Johnson getting the start in the circle. This is definitely their number 1. When talking to Coach Miller, he let us know that this is who we were going to see, something to expect out of her. She is a rise ball pitcher. She's going to go with that a lot, so expect a ball up in the zone, maybe some fly balls in this game. The other thing that Coach let us know is that they anticipate using all 4 of their pitchers today. So I would have to expect just to see Candace Johnson go out for the first time through the order and then go on to their next pitchers.
Team ERA of 6.24 for the Islanders. Look at Janae Jefferson. The 470 batting average on the year. Leads the Big 12, 39 hits, leads the conference, 2nd in the country. Her career batting average is 415. 30 percentage points above Lexi Bennett. Now, granted, Lexi Bennett played 4 years, and Jefferson still 2.5 to go. But right now, she is an above 400 hitter. Her career coming off a great weekend. You had mentioned, Megan, 16 at-bats, 7 hits, but just coming around to score once. And that was the difference in those tight ball games against Minnesota, and something we talked about plenty last weekend. Texas struggling with runners in scoring position.
Which is so odd, right? Because before coming into the weekend, they were so great at it. I felt like you were watching them get those runs across. You were watching with 2 outs get the runs across. Lauren Burke, I feel like, was leading the charge with that, and they just came across a really good Minnesota team. Amber Pfizer, Lexi Smith. Amber Pfizer came into the weekend 5th in the nation with strikeouts. Now, Texas wasn't striking out by any means. However, they just weren't able to square her up.
Count 3-2. Out to left, and Emily Baker makes the grab. Texas in their first season under Mike White. 21-5, the second head coach in program history, hired on June 25th, 2018. 9 previous seasons at Oregon, 435 wins, 5 Pac-12 titles, including 4 in a row. Which I think one of the most impressive things, the 5 50-plus wins, the 5 Women's College World Series. But to dominate the conference like that as well. So Coach White, joined by Coach Chelsea Spencer and Carrie Shaw, Kaylee Quico as well, coming over with a quartet of transfers, one being Mary Iacopo, the sophomore from Carson, California. Iacopo, uncharacteristic, 2 for 9 last weekend, a 345 average on the year. She's reached safely in 22 of the 24 games played here at UT. Back to the left, Emily Bella. So Texas goes down. Spent some seasons at Oregon. He had 3 previous seasons before taking the A&M job at Virginia, but an assistant at Oregon for 3 years. So was very excited to come back and be around Coach White and Coach Carrie Shaw. You see the 2003 Pan American Games men's softball silver medal team. It's Coach Shaw on the left, the assistant from Texas. Texas head coach Mike White and Blake Miller in the middle.
I loved when we were talking with Coach Miller and he just starts rambling off memories and talking about Whitey, Coach White out there, Whitey and Kay Shaw. Whitey's such an unbelievable competitor, and it's an interesting perspective, right? Because we just talk to these guys as coaches and pick their brain that way, not necessarily as the players and their times as elite men's fast pitch players. So I thought that was pretty interesting to get some of those stories. And I got to go down earlier today and talk to Kay Shaw, Coach Shaw, and pick his brain a little bit. Tried to get pictures of them too. I feel like it's very tough to find pictures of the 3 of them. None of them wanted to share it. I said, we need to get a picture of you guys, a good picture of you guys. He's like, well, you're never going to find that.
Said he had one up in his office, did Coach Blake Miller. Whitney Wendell, the batter at the plate, sophomore from Seguin, Texas. 50 games started last year. Played in all 24 this season, now 25. Hitting .203 on the year. Takes ball 4 from Ellis.
Just Ellis's first walk of the day, but of the 4 batters, she's fallen behind twice, the leadoff and that last batter. And really, I think this is why we're seeing Miranda Ellis get the start today, right? I think she started the season strong, going right after batters. You know, it's no secret that Coach White expects his pitchers to get ahead right away and in the count. And that was a little bit of her nemesis. She had 5 walks against her first loss against Minnesota. And I don't necessarily think the walks came back to bite her because she had 12 strikeouts. She was able to get out of that inning. It was really just that first inning. However, again, that's why they have her out here today, is to make sure that she's working the small things and getting ahead of batters.
Kennedy Johnson, this batter at the plate. One of those 6 freshmen on the roster. Johnson hitting .262, 1 home run. And you had made note of it last weekend. It was really kind of an up and down weekend for Ellis. She cruised for a handful of batters, then a couple walks or just a couple close missed pitches. It wasn't as if the command wasn't there, and it was all over the place, just very close. Something to watch for this evening. Runner going, runner is in safely to second. So Wendell taking the bag.
That was a great jump right there by Wendell, being able to read it. And not only that, kind of caught Mackenzie Parker waiting. Again, great lead there. Iacopo on the money. That throw, that view, I mean, that is right over the bag. Unfortunately, shortstop Parker not there in time to get it.
So the Islanders with no outs, a runner in scoring position. 2-2 pitch from Ellis, laid off by Johnson. Johnson does lead the team with 11 runs batted in. She'll take the ball 4 as well. That will bring out Coach White. Speak with Ellis and Iacopo.
Coach White likes to have his quick timeouts. Doesn't matter what inning it is, what the count is. He'll come on out there if he sees something right away. And I think when it comes to Ellis, you know, he's pretty in tune with her body language, and he can read exactly where she's at. She's having a hard time adjusting to a strike zone. If maybe he sees something with her mechanically.
Now back to catcher, 45, Allison Silva.
Talked to us a lot about the emotion of the game for Ellis and riding that fine line. Just enough to propel her. As bunt laid down, Rhodes coming in from third will make the throw to Jefferson covering. But Silvas does her job to advance both runners.
It's a great job by Silvas there. In a situation like this, I know Coach Miller was talking about it, you know, they're not going to face a lot of pitchers that are throwing 68, 69 miles an hour. So to understand the situation, to not make this game any bigger than it is, you've got 2 runners on, commit to the sacrifice bunt, textbook.
The Islanders will go with an early pinch hitter. Sammy Thomas will come in to hit for Emily Baker, spot in the lineup. Still just first time through this is 7-hole. Freshman from Buford, Georgia.
Right there where they are.
12 hits on the year, 4 runs batted in, 250 average, does have 2 home runs. An Islanders team and Coach Miller that sees an early opportunity. They average just 1.8 runs per game on the year. That's second to last in their conference, 284th in the country. So you mentioned the youth of this team. He talked to us so much about their struggles at the plate, looking like young players up against D1 pitching. And a great early opportunity here.
You know, Tyler, I'm going back through my notes, and it was one of those aha. The reason Sammy Thomas, I'm assuming, wasn't in the starting lineup. She was out last week.
Ball in the glove, applied the tag, but sliding just under was Wendell.
Yeah, this ball gets in on her hands. Janae Jefferson gets it to home. It kind of takes her up the line. I do think her foot gets in there, and because that glove's up high, I mean, it's pretty close there. Iacopo does hold on to the ball right there when she's taking her glove off. You see it drop.
The only thing I could see, Megan, was the foot of Iacopo possibly blocking the plate. It's hard with the sun and in the shade there.
That's close. And it looks like he's going to hold up that call.
So Wendell plates the first run of the ball game. Still just 1 out, 2 on. And Baker went back to first in spot of Thomas, who came in, bring that run across. First pitch swung on by Samantha Burke, freshman from Fort Worth, Texas.
And just, if you're keeping note back home or out watching, that means Sammy Thomas is scratched from the game after that. She comes in, she does her job, she gets that RBI, but now that they put the runner back in, she is burned for the rest of the game. I feel like for Miranda Ellis, that first pitch we just watched go to Burke, that's how she needs to be throwing. If you're looking at numbers, and I mean, that's exactly how I would throw to batters, Tyler. You don't know a lot about Corpus Christi. You probably haven't seen a lot of scouting reports, so you go off numbers, and because Burke's only hitting a 160, you go right at these batters. You don't toy around, and that's something that Ellis is doing right now. She's trying to be too careful. She's throwing balls out of the zone.
4 hits on the year for Burke in her 25 at-bats.
And you saw it in the pitch. I mean, it was almost right down the middle, but Burke wasn't able to catch up to that. You've got to recognize that right away as a pitcher and as a catcher, and that's where you're communicating to your pitcher. Here, throw it right here.
2-2 pitch. Right as you called it. Tap on the chest from Ellis. 2 down, 4th strikeout of the evening.
I'm sure there's going to be movement on this pitch, but it's all over the heart of the plate. That's usually where she's not wanting to live. But again, you got to understand your matchup. You got to understand the batters, and you got to understand if you're looking to build your confidence back, let's just start throwing right at these batters and throw hard like you know how to do.
Sky Kale, the batter at the plate. Right back up the middle to Ellis. Over to Burke. Team that's currently ranked 6th, 5th in the country across the 2 polls in Tennessee, but at a deficit here as the Islanders strike first. Texas went down 1-2-3 their first time up. Shannon Rhodes fouls off the first pitch. Rhodes coming off a weekend in which she went 4-14, 2 doubles, 2 runs batted in for the junior from Fort Worth, Texas.
Johnson going with the off-speed, 2 pitches in a row. Love it. Although it's only the 2nd inning, I have to think because you know, A, you're paying respect to a team that has the power that can hit the ball, and 2, you're only going to probably be in for 1 or 2 more innings. There's no need to save those change-ups or off-speed for late in the game.
Just bouncing foul. For last year's NFCA All-Pacific Region 2nd teamer. One of, if not the strongest hitters in the Texas lineup. Rhodes back in with the count 1-2. Tied for the team lead with Iacopo with 3 home runs. Ball 3. The dugout got the ladder.
It's a good at-bat. I got it.
Take a hit, take a walk, take a hit, take a walk. Earns the walk.
It's a good at-bat, especially after that first swing. She was well out front. I think she knew it right away. She was able to make the adjustments and then finally get comfortable enough to take a few pitches.
I knew you were on the channel. I was just making sure everyone at home knew. Is action in the Islanders bullpen. Alexis Ruel and Alexis Tovar both up.
And I think Ruel would be the first one that they go to. At least if Coach let us know or let us in on anything, I think you're going to see her first and then go to Ashley Smith. But if Ashley's not up there, maybe we'll see something different.
Johnson will remain out there to throw to Lauren Burke, sophomore from Eugene, Oregon. Can't hold back on that one. Burke, 353 on the year, 21 runs batted in. It's been clutch, leads the team, hitting .412 with runners in scoring position for the all-freshman teamer in the Pac-12 last year. Rhodes will go back after the foul ball. Burke had a 4 for 16 weekend, a triple and a double. 5 RBI on the weekend as well. Rhodes going for second. Beats out the throw as Burke strikes out, but the runner does advance.
It's a great job by Candace Johnson. How about that after giving up that leadoff walk to go back against Burke, using that offside, but this one right here, she's getting that rise ball in the outside corner. Nice late break.
6th stolen base of the season for Shannon Rhodes. Texas seen their stolen base numbers go up, averaging 1.3 per game. That's second amongst Big 12 teams. Pitcher Miranda Ellis. We were having a conversation prior to the game about two-way players, pitchers and hitters. Some of the good ones here at the University of Texas, some of the good ones across the country. That ball catching Ellis. She'll take first.
See Coach Miller come on out and have a conversation with Candace Johnson and his defense. Quick one, I have to imagine it was more just encouragement there.
Junior left fielder Caitlin Washington from Humble, Texas. Longhorns with their first chance with a runner in scoring position. The team 385 average on the year with runners at second or better. Washington 328 on the year individually. Texas, though, their last 4 games.
With where Corpus Christi started in the outfield, they have to respect the power that this Texas team has. They know that there's doubles because Washington does not get all of it. In fact, she gets it right off the end of her bat here and lifts it. So this is really just a very shallow bloop into right field. And unfortunately, because Ashley Moss was playing so deep, she does not have a chance to be able to handle that. She's got the visor and sunglasses, Tyler, but I'll tell you what, that is a hard place to play.
Ball is behind the circle. Ellis is caught in the rundown. Washington wisely takes third, but Ellis out on the base paths.
Tyler, we've seen this a little bit bit too many times here this season. This is Ellis. She gets caught right away. I think she was trying to be a little too loud, make some noise over there just to get Washington over. And really, I think if she goes home right away, she had the right instinct, she's safe. If she second-guessed herself, and the moment she did that, she needed to get back to third. Good job, though, by Caitlin Washington getting herself all the way to third.
So the Islanders register the second out. Freshman shortstop Mackenzie Parker from Conroe, Texas. This is the 5th game of the season she has started. Well inside, rushing her back. .250 on the year, was 1 for 9 last weekend across the 3 games she started. One was a double. Shot to the left side, Bella with her throw. Texas evens it up at 1. Southland. Texas will kick it off next weekend against the Cyclones. Ashley Moss. Lead off in the inning, lead off in the order. Struck out, was one of 3 in a row to start off the ball game. Dealt by Ellis, but a couple walks set the tone for the Islanders to score a run in the 2nd inning. Second time through, what do you need to see from Ellis? More of what you've been talking about, going right at these hitters?
Yep, you said it. You got to go right at. I think she knows that, but again, I think even more so, as you saw right there, she was able to get ahead with that strike. Then you throw that rise ball out of the zone. No need to throw that ball out of the zone in the first 2 pitches. Not until the batter proves she can catch up to you in your speed.
Emily Vela, strikeout victim. Her first time up.
I felt like, you know what, Tyler, I think pitchers know that, right? I'm not saying anything they don't know or what they're thinking. I just speak as the catcher, and I just took it upon myself to make sure no matter who was in the circle, that was my job, to really pump them up. So if she was falling behind, it was in the dugout, it was in a quick conversation, run out to the mound, it was probably about 30 seconds, and it would remind her exactly what kind of batters we were facing, how good she was, and just try to build that confidence back up, right? That's your job as a catcher too. And if your catcher's not doing that, maybe it's your first baseman. As a first baseman, take a look over there. You're so close to your pitcher. Just make sure it's such a mental game out there, not just for hitters. I mean, the pitchers, they have, I have to imagine they feel like everything's riding on their shoulders anyways. So go pump them up. Not surprised seeing even the 3-hole. Scambalori go with the bunt there. Miranda Ellis already with 5 strikeouts. No hits. As a batter, you're just trying to put the ball in play.
You promised Coach Miller that you would get her name right all evening, and you're doing great.
Thanks, 1 for 1.
Hey, you all right right here?
Scambalori 0 for 1.
You okay right here?
She struck out her first time up.
Stop.
And this may be one of those conversations.
I think actually Iacopo might have called timeout for the batter. Just looking at the batter's face, it almost looked like she was crying, the way they're looking at her. Sometimes you do that, you know, obviously if a catcher gets hit by a foul ball, a lot of times umpire or the batter, you'll call timeout, you kind of help. I think that's exactly what you saw. That's pretty good sportsmanship right there.
So Scambalori looks to be well back in to go.
It's definitely, I think it might be her shoulder. I mean, you watched her swing right there. She completely took her hand off the bat. So.
Hey, do yourself right here, kid. Do yourself right here.
That's the third out of the inning. Game starter. Started 9 this year for the Islanders. 7.13 ERA across the 37 and the third innings. Texas with KK Hyder to start the inning off. Hyder getting the start in right field. Puts one down that had brought the first baseman over, nobody there to cover.
Exactly.
Runner on.
That's exactly what happened, Tyler. I mean, that's perfect placement there. She gets a nice high bounce. I mean, quite frankly, with her speed, I think even first baseman's back, that's a tight play at first.
Had seen KK Hyder get one start this past weekend. Some of that speed Texas can use as Hyder goes immediately and is in safely. Longhorns now at the advantage.
And how about Texas able to get a run across? They're getting their runners on. They have no problem getting those base runners on, but you've started seeing them string together hits.
That rip to the recently inserted Burke at short. He does a nice job of getting right in front of it, make the catch.
Yeah, welcome to shortstop.
One of those classic plays you always talk about. You go into a game and the ball seems to find you. Mary Iacopo. Grounded out to third, hits that one right into the glove of Emily Vela. Tried to get Hathaway, who wisely, but you look at those 3 plays within that sequence for her of the triple, so getting all the way over to third, diving back to third, and then charging down and diving under. That is why this Texas coaching staff, Mike White, was so excited about having to work with Hathaway and getting her back really to 100%, only just the one at bat last year, and she is having a phenomenal year so far.
Yeah, that's something that he talked about, right? He's like, even in practice, she's going to go through the wall. It is 110% all the time, no matter what. You got to love that, especially why having her at the top of the lineup.
So the wild pitch charged to Ruel that Hathaway scores on. Texas.
That's what we got to do. HHB, hit the ball hard, you know, so that's what it's about. And I'm doing a pretty good job. Reagan hit a nice hit there.
Coach, talk to us a little bit about playing against the other head coach, Blake Miller, one of your old teammates, not only for USA, but in St. Joe.
Yeah, it's great to play against Blake. I mean, we've known him for a long time, and you know, he's an aggressive type coach, and he gets the most out of his players, so it's kind of fun.
So what do you call him? I know he calls you Whitey. I know it's K-Shaw Whitey. So what were you guys calling? Was he B. Miller?
I just call him Miller.
Fine.
So, yeah.
Coach, appreciate the time.
Thanks, guys. Hook 'em.
I'm glad he's back on the Hook'em train. I'm a little biased, but obviously.
He did drop that this last weekend. He snuck one in. Change for Texas. KK Hyder will scoot over into center field. MK Tedder will replace Reagan Hathaway. in right field. Everything remaining the same outside of that. Ellis back in the circle for Texas.
Keep an eye on it, but I think that's just to get MK Tedder some work in there. I know we panned to the dugout and you saw Hathaway kind of with unbuckled belt, but I think that was just from all the dives and all the dirt probably getting stuck in. She should be fine.
Wendell walked, stole a base, came around to score.
That looks like the Miranda Ellis we're used to seeing, commanding the strike zone, going right out when she needs to throw a strike. It's that curveball right on the outside part of the plate. Keeps it down right at the knees, a little zip to it.
Another strikeout for Ellis. 7th tonight.
And that's her off speed. That is tough. Tough to catch up to, especially after she hasn't had to throw it a whole lot. She throws it out of the back of her hand. She gets a nice late break to it. It's a good one.
HHB, is that the term? Hard hit balls from Coach White. Go back to that when Texas comes to the plate.
That's one thing I've noticed a lot about this coaching staff is they keep it simple, right? Coach Shaw was talking about before the game. He's like, well, I was trying to ask him about his hitting approach, you know, a little bit different from the old assistant, Trip McKay, who is very cerebral. I feel like he was talking numbers, he was talking angles, degrees. There was a lot of that going on, and he's like, well, I had to remind the girls that I used to be a elementary PE teacher. So I'm gonna keep it pretty simple. I'm gonna be pretty clear, and we'll just talk about fueling. And I mean, even when they've talked to us about it, what is it? Have you memorized the 3 yet, Tyler?
No.
Hitting good pitches.
Okay.
Being on time.
All right.
You know number 3 yet?
No.
Staying on plane.
I thought it was
You're
something.
gonna get it, I know you are. But I feel like you just say it, right? Those are
On
3
play.
very, yeah, say it. Those are 3 very simple approaches, but they are all 3 things that you have to hit the ball.
I think you can see on both sides the results. I mean, obviously for Coach McKay, what he had done at Oklahoma, but for this Texas staff and what they've done this year. Another strikeout for Ellis.
I think the other thing too, and I love the fact that he mentioned it, it's not just him as a hitting coach. They've got 4 hitting coaches here. You've got Carrie, you've got obviously Coach White, Chelsea Spencer, and then Kylie Quico, the volunteer there. She played at Oregon. She has her name in the record books there. And all 4 of them have a voice when they're up there in the cages.
Also, Megan, I'd seen this earlier, Grambling hooking me up with a beautiful nugget. Just 4 triples last year for Texas. This year, 9.
There you go.
High for the third baseman. Rhodes loses it out of the glove there with the bare hand to hold on to it. Big smile for
happy with them controlling the zone. Now they got to stay aggressive in it, and I think we're taking too many good pitches. Doing a good job getting ahead in the count, but we got to be aggressive when she gets back in the count.
And Coach, do you mind letting us know what happened there with Ashley Scambolori?
Just a little bit. I'm not actually too sure. Something else happened in the dugout. Something bat flying around or something. I don't know. I'm not sure.
And is that hand? I think we're looking at it in the dugout.
Oh, you might see it behind.
Oh.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, you saw it in the at-bat, how it changed her swing and all that.
Absolutely.
So,
yep.
I mean, something we got to change right off.
Coach, appreciate the time.
Not a problem. Have a great day.
Sorry to hear.
All right, we're good.
Yeah, it looks like it's that pinky working on the grip. Maybe it's that first pitch that she saw. That's unfortunate, right? That's their starting shortstop right there. And I feel like when Coach was talking about her, a lot of pop in the bat. Talks about how great she's going to be, likes where she was at shortstop. Had 11 errors on the season coming into the game. However, he felt like that didn't really represent her as an athlete whatsoever.
said that the buy-in has been 100% there from this group of youngsters. 5 freshmen starting pretty consistently as that ball tails inside and catches Lauren Burke. They're a team that has a determined attitude, is just not quite showing up at the plate. That's been the struggles. Had the opportunity early on. They do score the 1 run. Obviously dealt a curveball with the injury to their shortstop and being dealt some pretty good pitching from Miranda Ellis. So Texas, once again, starts the inning off with a base runner on, as they have the last 2.
You could see her face right there. She knew that was the pitch she needed to attack. It was up in the zone, all over the plate.
Ruel ready. Ellis watches it by.
The way actually the Islanders have thrown to Texas today. Not afraid to hammer the inside corner. Yeah, they've hit 2 batters. Miranda Ellis back in the second, Lauren Burke, but that's because they're trying to throw inside. And a lot of people, they take a look at this lineup, they take a look at some of these batting averages, they don't want to throw in because they're afraid of getting hit. No, but at least if you're going inside and okay, maybe you hit someone, at least the rest of the batting lineup is thinking, okay, she might throw me inside. I've got to make sure to protect part of the plate. Both parts of the plate.
Caitlin Washington awaits. It's the 2-2 coming to Ellis. Rip pass a awaiting Burke. Let the ball slide through the gap. 2 on for Texas.
This again, they're hammering the inside. This all over the plate. Ellis gets around it, and really you saw Kale kind of shading up the middle. No one has a chance on that one. That one was smoked through the right side.
Caitlin Washington.
This pitch up and out. Caitlin Washington does a great job. Her first at bat, she was out front off the end of her bat. This time she gets pretty much all of it. You see that swing, she gets underneath it, able to drive it into left field.
So Caitlin Washington with her 5th multi-hit game of the season, 51st career RBI. And Megan, when you look at this Texas order that still does not have Taylor Ellsworth sitting out with that injury, only playing 3 games, if you get Washington starting to have some of that production and the numbers we saw last year on her way to being named a 2nd teamer in the Big 12. Once you get from Sugar Land, Texas, 8.08 ERA, 13 appearances, 21 2/3 innings pitched for Tovar.
I like what Coach Miller said about Tovar. She gets us out of jams. She comes in and cleans it up, and right now that's exactly what he needs out of Tovar. She can throw all the pitches, has an off speed, but really, he said, her ability to get out of tough situations is why he likes to use her late in the game.
Big at bat and a big opportunity for the freshman Mackenzie Parker. 0 for 1 in the contest, grounded out to 3rd. Coach White has been very vocal about not only needing the defense in those open positions, but the hotter bats and whomever is hitting. Texas with 1 run on the board here in the box.
Able to punch this one through. The Islanders playing in because you got a runner on 3rd, so it cuts those angles down, and because of that, I have to think that helped get this ball through the left side. Maybe shortstop's playing normal distance, 1 run gets across and that's it, but you got to play it there. They're playing to get the out at home. Great job, though, with the cutting that ball, reading where Parker's at to make sure to get an out. So 2 RBI single, but out on advancement is Parker, and
Hauling down the line, KK Hyder. When you start to look at the 9-hole and what they get from KK Hyder in terms of speed and turning that lineup over, can see why they've given her the opportunity.
Absolutely, and she has truly done such a great job just in the past 2 games that we've seen her out there. Reading the defense, understanding her back control. You've seen her do it with the bunt hit. And how about a couple games ago, she came in as a pinch hitter and ripped one off the wall. She got a double herself.
MK Tedder, the batter at the plate. The speedy Hyder swiping her 2nd bag of the ball game. 10th now of the year. Remains perfect. Second multi-hit ball game of the year for KK Hyder. Tedder, 222 average on the year. Sophomore from Hoover, Alabama. Last year started 59 games at third. This year started 4, played in 17. 3 runs batted in. Tedder over to third. It'll be a long throw for Vela. Wants to check on the runner. Hyder dove back to the bag and is in safely. Paused momentarily. Was able to dive between the legs of the second baseman, Kale.
This ball is a rocket to third base, but I really like the fact that Vela knew exactly where Hyder was, keeps her honest. Yikes. You're lucky no one got hurt on that play all around.
I don't think anything gets you moving up here in the booth more than base running.
Oh.
The players either take a bag that they're not supposed to. You'll start, you gotta say, she starts hitting my shoulder.
Yeah, you definitely have a bruise on your arm.
She's pumped up.
Either that or claw marks because I'm scratching. Oh.
So Texas using the opportunity with the lead now at 5. Digging into the bench, Jana Roberts will come in to pinch hit the spot of Janae Jefferson, the freshman from Pearland, Texas. 1 for 2 on the year. Chance for 2. To get the out at second. Hyder does get over to third. So Tedder sits down. Roberts, second consecutive fielder's choice. Alicia Espinoza come in, the 3-hole of Iacopo. Freshman from Littleton, Colorado.
What you're watching right here out of Tovar in the circle is really go after those off-speed pitches. That's probably exactly what she does to get out of these jams, keep the batters off balance. Quite frankly, they could be out of this inning right now if they were able to get a Hyder there at second.
9th at bat of the year for Espinoza. 1 hit.
Nice job coming back with that curve on the outside corner, right at the knees. Going multiple off speeds allows that pitch to come in, or at least look a lot harder than the 62 that we saw on the screen.
1-2 coming from Ruel. Inside.
And again, I just so impressed, Tyler. Only 62 miles an hour, but goes right in on the hands of the batters. Not afraid to throw inside, and when you're ahead of the batter, it's tough to get a barrel up on that one. Strikeouts going right after these Islander hitters. You can see she's able to throw it on both sides of the plate, gets them with the rise ball. She kept the batters off balance. And the name of the game for her was working ahead of these batters. So what a day for Miranda Ellis. Finishes with 8 strikeouts. And I guess Texas decided, hey, we're happy with what you did, because now we're going to see Brooke Bollinger come into the game.
So it will be the senior lefty. There is Ellis. Bollinger, 1.96 ERA on the year. 11 appearances. 35 2/3 innings pitched. 53 strikeouts, excuse me, against 11 walks. A lot of changes for Texas. You ready for this?
Yep.
Get the eraser out.
I know.
Got Mallory Schottel over at third. Lauren Burke moves from first down to catcher. Espinoza will be over at first. Jana Roberts taking second. Caitlin Slack will be at short. Outfield, though, does remain the same. Washington, Hyder, Tedder from left to right.
I mean, that's an entire new infield. Come, babe.
Go to the top of the 3 ball for A&M Corpus Christi. Left fielder, number 5, Ellen Baker.
Emily Baker, the batter at the plate for the Islanders.
I like this look, Tyler, having Bollinger come in after Ellis. You have Ellis, a strong, hard-throwing righty, throws 68, 69 miles an hour. Bollinger comes in from the left-hand side. She spins the ball so well. She moves that curveball both sides of the plate. A couple different off-speeds.
Ball hard hit out into left. Washington ranging, makes the grab. Well, the Texas staff came on top of the show and showed you the ERA, 1.39 as a staff. Second in the Big 12, but 8th in the country. And look at those numbers, they are small.
They are. Shaylin O'Leary, though, that freshman, a .48, Tyler. She's off to the best start of any Texas freshman ever.
Perfect 7-0 record for O'Leary. They've really developed his staff into complementary roles. Fleshed out where each pitcher can fit in. Really an important thing that this Texas coaching staff wanted to do preparing for conference play. What we saw a little bit last weekend, albeit with those Texas Southern games splashed in, but can you have a pitching staff that's ready for 3 consecutive games against a familiar foe?
Well, that's the thing right there, Tyler. How do you keep not just 2 pitchers ready, but 4 pitchers ready? You saw there, and you're not going to always get. Brooke Bollinger didn't get much time last weekend, and she is normally a starter, right? So what's that role they're building her into? Is it still a starter? Is it going to be the relief role? How do you get them in those situations? It's these midweek games, but I have to imagine it's also in the middle of the week. It's getting really long, strenuous bullpens in, getting really good live looks. I'm sure that they do a lot of situational hitting, scrimmage-like situations, because right now they're utilizing all 4 pitchers as starters. And so that's another. It's not hard necessarily if you're planning your practices out and strategically. However, it is a little bit different for someone like Bollinger, who was a starter last year.
Bollinger walking Burke. We'll bring up Sky Kale. Started her career at Temple College, where she was a first-teamer, utility player. Member of the 2018 NCAA National Championship team. Hit .392, playing in 40 games, 7 home runs, 6 doubles, 3 triples for Kale. Interesting mix of transfers. You have Ashley Moss, who started off her career at Arizona State. Emily Baker, West Texas A&M. Emily Vela from New Mexico. So in spite of those transfers having coming over and maybe some age in terms of years, Coach Miller's still talking about those players relatively inexperienced. So youth is really the key word for this team this season and trying to develop, get playing time, get better at the plate especially. That was something that he talked to us about earlier in the week, but then mentioned to us in the interview during the game. Bollinger ready, 2-2.
It's a nice pick back there by Burke. Lauren Burke just stepping in. This has to be her 4th appearance behind the dish. It's down in the ground. It's an off speed. Again, luckily doesn't have to throw it down first because there's a runner on first.
Taylor Ellsworth still out, mentioned that earlier. So it's forced Burke into jumping into that role. There's Ellsworth.
I was down there before the game. Good news for Texas fans. She was able to hold a bat in her hand, so she doesn't have a cast on. She doesn't have anything. She has her stitches out of that hand. It was a hand injury earlier in the season. Still think they're still day to day, so no official start date. But seeing her with a bat in the hand, I think that can get some fans pretty excited.
Played just 3 games so far this season. Lipscomb, part of their spring break, and then back here to Austin next weekend to kick off conference play live here on LHN against Iowa State. Mallory Schottel substituted for Shannon Rhodes, so will take her spot in the hitting order, the junior from Salado, Texas. .167 average on the year. Has 6 hits.
No, really, Tyler, this is a game to get them ready for a pretty tough weekend. They go to play Tennessee and BYU. Tennessee went and took 2 from Florida, like run-ruled Florida. Knocked Kelly Barnhill out of the game, but they, with those 2 wins, moved themselves up to number 6 in the polls. One of the polls have them at number 5, so it doesn't get much easier for Texas. They're going to definitely get tested there as well.
Schottel into the gap between third and short.
Exactly what you want before going right into Big 12 play, as Big 12 is the strongest it's been in quite some time. You've got a ranked Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, Oklahoma, Baylor.
Burke back to the fans. For the 5 for Texas to lead off the inning have reached. The lone was to start the ball game. High shot to second. Sky Kale there to make the skied shot. Tuesday, Dare Margosian stepping into the box to the tune of DMX. Back up the middle, glances off the glove of the pitcher. So Shottle will be out. Dare Margosian safe over at first. DMX will actually be here tomorrow night, part of South by Southwest.
Don't tell me. This is the best time to be in Austin, and the weather's being so great for everyone for South by Southwest.
You got to get back to Royce.
I do. Royce misses. Royce McKitty. He's not so much a kitty, he's a one fat cat. He does not miss a meal.
Becca Alcozer, senior from Belton, Texas, steps into the spot of Caitlin Washington.
Honestly, Tyler, I had no idea. Usually I'm pretty in tune to the music scene around here, but because Texas hasn't gone on spring break, that's next week. I was just following the softball schedule. I thought South by Southwest was next week.
I told you
I know.
last weekend, you didn't even know. Back up the middle. Well, thus far to allow no hits, but 1 run on the board for the Islanders of Texas A&M Corpus Christi.
Oh boy, Tyler, you said it. I didn't. I just want everyone out there to know it was Tyler that said it. But I think we do have, you know, a bye. I think you're allowed to.
That's why I did it.
I know. But I'm still not ready. I still hold on to that superstition.
It looks like, what did you call them? The RoboCop shades?
I don't know.
You said
I said
RoboCop.
something like that.
Terminator. Yeah, it's a Terminator X RoboCop, usually donned by Shaylin O'Leary. It looks as if Miranda Ellis is taking control of the Robo shades.
You know, I've seen Ellis hitting some shades. I haven't seen her pitch out there in them yet.
She just
They're
lost
gone.
the sunglasses. Emily Vella 0 for 2.
Great job by Bollinger going with that rise ball way ahead of the count. 1-2, able to stair step it. Hit it well out of the zone.
So put 2 on the board for Bollinger, strikeout wise. Keegan Helson will come in to bat. Spot of Scambalori, showed you earlier, sat down. Helson, a product of Chicago, Illinois. '52-game starter last year in left field. Started 20 coming into this one, 244 average on the year, 10 hits. 3 for extra bases, 1 in each column. hit out to left. That'll bounce off just the top of the wall, nearly a home run. Helson coming in. First hit of the ball game for the Islanders.
I mean, I'm not gonna say anything.
Oh.
Ever. Maybe you had something to do with that, Tyler, but this ball up in the zone, not where Bollinger wants that pitch to be at all. And that's why they call this the graveyard here at Texas. Well, at least Coach White does. Any other ballpark, that ball is out of here. These 10-foot fences, that was about a foot from the top from being a home run.
Second double of the year. Could have been her second home run. That was absolutely cranked. I think I'm safe because there was one other batter padded in between there.
Okay, fine.
Lindell gets into one. Much more shallow in this in center field into the glove of Hyder. 2 down.
Well, I think if you're watching these Islander batters hit third time through the lineup, you are watching them make adjustments. That's something that Coach Miller talked about, is that's where he feels like his team has most room to grow. Having better at-bats, more consistent at-bats. Although you still have a couple of strikeouts sprinkled in, I don't think that's necessarily bad at-bats all the time. But you're starting to watch a team barrel up the ball, just missing him. Some pretty deep fly balls, high fly balls.
Built an immensely tough schedule. Started out in Lafayette, Louisiana at the Raging Cajun Invitational. Lost to the host team ULL. Lost to Cal as well, the Bears. Joining the tournament, then playing in the Islander Invitational, hosting Texas Southern, team we just saw last weekend, along with the University of Wisconsin. 3 losses to the Badgers. Coach Miller saying you can't hit good pitching unless you see it. So
He's got a point.
tested his team, tested these young hitters. Said they're just making young hitter mistakes. That one ripped to Schottel. Is her best hockey goalie impression. Longhorns coming off of losing 3, winning 1 against Stanford out in California this past weekend, the baseball team, that is. So,
Well, you just answered my question. I'm wondering how the heck Texas is still 18 when they go and sweep LSU, who is number 1 at the time.
well, I think because
That'll
Stanford
do it.
won 3 of 4.
Yeah.
So Texas got back to their winning ways at home last night. Make sure to tune in Friday, starting at 6:30. Caitlin Slatt, 273 average on the year for the junior from Liberty, Texas. Slatt ricochets one off the glove of Vela. In to start off the inning. Texas done a great job this evening getting their leadoff batters on.
Absolutely, and really Ashley Smith, since coming into this game, she is a drop ball pitcher, has done a great job against these Texas batters. This ball, unfortunately, just a little bit too high in the zone. Allows Slack to barrel that one up.
So Slack with the single, 5 of 6. Leadoff hitters have reached. See if KK Hyder can make it a 3-for-3 night. 2 singles, 2 stolen bases. Came around to score in the 3rd.
Hyder got on with a slap and a bunt, and right now the defense is in third base, a little bit too far back than for my liking for Hyder.
That ball well out in front of home. Tough play for Silvas to get there in time, with Slack taking second.
Good read by Slack. But again, just knowing that she had a bunt single last time, I'd like to see the third baseman creep in just a little bit closer. For Hyder, not even thinking about bunting right now. It was a hack.
Count 1 and 2. Chop, but back to the pitcher, Smith. Up to get it.
See, this ball is ripped right back up the middle. That's a good reach there by the pitcher. A lot of times you think it's coming a lot harder when you're starting at 43 feet. Say you have at least a 6-foot stride. What's that coming in at? 37. I'm 37 feet away, Tyler.
Math with Megan.
It feels like that ball's coming a lot harder.
MK Tedder. Now at the top of the order for Texas. I was going to get you with some Math with Megan talk earlier when you were talking hitting and physics and angles and
Yeah.
acute angles, playing.
Obtuse.
Yeah, physics. Yeah, talking pie as the runner Slack advances. Tomorrow will be pie day. No, I think the math pie is the one I was talking about.
I'd rather talk about lemon meringue.
Is that your favorite?
Yes.
Pecan for me, or cherry.
I'll go with cherry. I can do rhubarb, strawberry rhubarb. So it's not that kind of pie day.
No. Tomorrow will be March 14th.
Okay. What am I missing?
3.14.
Oh. My bad.
2-2 count. Well, I think to tie it back to what we were talking about is that
Please.
you have multiple approaches at the plate. And for Texas and this coaching staff and where they're at this year, they have tried to simplify. You heard from Coach White, HHB, hard hit balls. That they want to make it as simple as possible. Back to those 3 points for hitting that they've made. And usually, really at any level, the more simple you can make it and drill it down,
It's a good piece of hitting for Tedder. I think right now you're watching a lot of these batters. They're not going to get a lot of opportunities, so it's all about taking advantage of the time you get, and I feel like that one right there, knowing where your runner is, situational hitting, get a ball up in the zone. She fouled off quite a few for left side, so out front and drilling it right into the ground, so a great adjustment throughout that entire at-bat. And that's exactly what your coaches remember, knowing that you're making those adjustments right away, not doing the same thing over and over.
Jenna Roberts, if you couldn't tell from the cheer, is the batter at the plate.
I actually was enjoying watching KK Hyder. She was getting into it. She was clapping behind her back, get the stomp going. It's the kind of rhythm I have, for sure. Don't even look. Don't roll your eyes at me.
I'm not even looking at you. How can you tell I'm rolling my eyes? So, Megan, you look at this Texas team, and the next time we will get to see them is conference play. So there's going to be a lot more familiarity there. But based on what you've seen and we've seen thus far this season, obviously we'll learn a lot about this team this weekend in those matchups against BYU and Tennessee. But we see the record, 21-5. They've been dynamite here at home. Had some really good wins against quality opponents this year: Kentucky, Arizona State, Minnesota, though they lose 2 of the 3 to Minnesota. They go out to Knoxville. They will play BYU, then 5th-ranked Volunteers of Tennessee, and then run that back. Lipscomb, one more to close out their spring break, and then back here on LHN against Iowa State to kick off conference play. So we went to break, Megan, talking about Texas, where they're at, 21-5, picked to finish 2nd in the Big 12, but where can they get better?
I think right now it is getting back to the basics, and that's situational hitting. I think right out the chute we saw Coach get the runners on, they'd get their sacrifice bunt, they'd move them over, and they get the run across, and they were so good at it. And starting last weekend and even early tonight, yes, there's 7 runs on the board now, but earlier tonight you weren't watching Texas manufacture runs like they were. And that's obviously being very picky because they're still number 11 in the nation with team batting average. And then the next thing would just be, again, the pitchers, making sure they're getting ahead of batters, going right after them.
Well, I think one, in watching you, people haven't been as vocal about it. At times you have the base running for Texas. I've seen a couple instances.
They run themselves out of the inning. And it's hard, right? When it's KK Hyder out there, one of their fastest girls on the team, that's her job, right, is to wreak havoc out there and push the limit. So maybe you give her a little bit of a free pass on it, but I think if it's Miranda Ellis, if it was Parker out there, you know, we've just seen it multiple times. Just a runner maybe not sure of themselves, and they just take one extra step, and now they're a dead duck out there. And they just need to make sure that if they're going to go, you got to go. Trust yourself.
3rd strikeout of the night for Brooke Bollinger. And that, I think, you know, when we've talked with Coach White, it's hard to nitpick when you look at the numbers, you look at the record.
For sure.
But if you would go back and dissect what had happened last weekend, because I think that's really indicative of what you're going to get when you play opponents in the Big 12, like we have talked about, that is much improved, has more depth at the bottom half of the conference. It's not just Oklahoma at the top anymore, or Baylor. Texas will be tested by all of their conference opponents: Oklahoma State, Texas Tech. Starts with Iowa State, but those little areas of polish. Going back on the Longhorns logo, making the grab right at the feet of KK Hyder was Jenna Roberts.
Wow. Again, I thought that could have been a lot uglier than what we saw, just seeing Hyder come on in there. That's all about communication. Jenna Roberts had to have communicated that, because if not, I think you see KK Hyder diving. So kudos, hats off. That was awesome. That's a tough play.
Made it look pretty simple. Burke representing the last out for Corpus Christi. Islanders will head to Beaumont, Texas. Play 3 against Lamar, Southland Conference foe. 2 on Friday, and 1 on Saturday. Their second series in conference play is Texas. Get their 22nd win of the season.
Now this was absolutely a complete team effort here. I feel like we saw just about everyone who could have played tonight in the game go in there. Saw Miranda Ellis get a great start, work out a few kinks there. You have Texas being able to get some good hits. Caitlin Washington, bottom half of the lineup. Coach is asked at the bottom half, picks it up. She had a couple RBIs, a couple hits on the day. So all in all, I have to say Texas had a great team effort tonight.
To your point, 17 of the 22 on the roster played. 3 of those that didn't were pitchers.